Hello. Welcome to Twelfth Night aboard Narrowboat Frobisher. This is Twelfth Night with Tarot. In 2020, a new tarot deck was issued. And it was created by a boater on the Mouse Boat. And it's an amazing deck. If you are a tarot reader and you like to be challenged and tickled in your readings, then you'll love this deck. It's very challenging to use because it doesn't stop at the usual 78 cards. It kind of keeps giving. There are more cards in this deck than I've ever seen before. So yes, if you like to be challenged, you will welcome this deck. And if you like to be amused by tarot, and I know lots of you do, you will also love this deck. And like a lot of the other amusing decks that went before, the novelty decks, they end up being jolly good reads. They're accurate, they're pithy, they're witty, fun to use, and in the right moment they are ace to pull out and just sparkle with something different when you're kind of getting a bit same old with the tarot. So 12th night, the 12 days of Christmas, 12 days of Yule. I expect it used to be. I expect it was stolen like everything else. But I don't worry about things like that. I celebrate the 12 days of Christmas from Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas. And the 12 months of the year are symbolised by each one of those days. That's why it's important to keep giving gifts, so that you have gifts coming into you for the 12 months of the forthcoming year ahead. So, I thought that's the 12 signs of the zodiac as well as the 12 months. And so it won't quite run in tandem with the months. But we have 12 cards for the 12 signs of the zodiac. And why not read them for our year ahead for 2021 using the mouse deck? Why not do that? So I did. So here we go. We kick off with Capricorn, which is where we are now. Okay, now Capricorn is the giddy goat, and yet we can see this year this is a sober goat. No surprise there then. But when you look at the picture, you actually see that that's a very conventional house, a very traditional house behind the goat. And the goat is a nanny goat. And to my mind, I just see nanny state. Likes the traditions. Okay, so then the magpies, to my eye, start to be funeral directors. And they are the ones who are going to bury 2020 for us. Good and deep, okay? And cackle about it as they do it. Good on them. And leading that nanny goat, who somehow reminds me of Miss Marple, but she's Miss Marple having to be encouraged to go forward with her investigations as to what happened and who did what and who can we hang. That reluctant goat is being led by a kitty and pushed by a kitty and ridden by a kitty. Now, kittens to me are playful creatures, and so this is all our joyous, playful energy for 2021, trying to chivvy up this old nanny state. Okay. So after we've got the goat moving, we switch on to Aquarius. And Aquarius is the sign that fixes winter as a reality. And it's the time when we're most likely to have snow. And the snowflakes this year, the word has meant something quite different. But snowflakes are amazing because they're all unique, they're all individual, and yet when they all clump together, they're very powerful and they can stop anything. So I think that that nanny state and that wizened old tradition is going to come to a halt come Aquarius. Okay, and there we are. We've got a big enough boat for us, provided we all go out singly in it, one at a time. Yeah, it's time to start prepping our craft, getting our ship to sail in the direction we want it to sail, get rid of all that muck from the bilge that's been down there through the cold months of winter, and start to bring on spring. Yeah, the sun is always much brighter when it reflects off of things white. It's startlingly brilliant. So we start to see the light come Aquarius, and I love the little bird in its life ring. I think we can all feel a lot safer when we get to Aquarius. I do hope so. And after Aquarius comes Pisces. Now, I'm sure you all know Pisceans, the fishy people, and they're subtle, gentle, loving beings, but this fish is armed to the teeth. I'm not sure he'd ever use the gun, but he's armed and he's dangerous, and he's certainly not going to play the game anymore. He thinks it's quackers. And above him, and above the Mises, is a wise owl. So I think this is a wisdom whose time has come, and it's going to be the subtle and the gentle people who start to bring out what needs to happen in the time ahead. We're no longer going to play that game of being dictated to by those old traditions, those Mises that want to get out in boats and just fish. Nah, that's not going to happen anymore. Fish will retaliate. Fish want their peaceful life in the peaceful waters, and they'll fight for it. So I see that come Pisces, we will be ready, more than ready, to tackle the establishment, the status quo, and we will do it wisely. But I was going to say armed to the teeth, but fish don't have teeth, but at least armed. Ready for it is what that means to me. Up for it. We are up for that change. We are up for that change. So after Pisces comes the wonderful new spring energy of Aries the ram. Can be Aries the sheep as well, because ewes are amazing creatures. They are amazing creatures, and sheep have very good memories. So separating sheep and goats is always an important and significant action. Okay, those goats that like all that tradition, the sheep remember exactly where that led to, and if they don't want it, they steer in a different direction with their heads. And there is the ram butting its way into spring. This is us, each one of us, going forward, great new energy, stimulated by the rising of the life force within the earth itself, the daffodils and the snowdrops and all the young spring flowers are all busting out everywhere, or beginning to. It's still rough weather, all the hats get blown off in the winds, but these are the winds of change. Come March, we will see those winds of change. I don't know what my granddad would have to say about that picture, but I know what I feel about it. I know that rams don't lead after lots of deep thought. They lead spontaneously, not as a reaction to outer circumstances, but from the inner impulse of expressing life as life needs to be expressed. So lots of new things springing up come March, late March. And that leads us into Taurus, when the blossoms really start and there's sweet scent in the air. Now, the thing I know about Tauruses, I live with one, is that they are immovable. If they're going, they don't stop. If they're sat down, they continue to sit down. The change of gear for a Taurus is a very difficult thing to do. Very difficult thing. But once they get set off in activity or relaxation, whichever it is, boy, do they do it well. They really do. So I see this time of Taurus this year, which is sort of May, April, May, as being one of stability, where the track that we've set ourselves off on in March will become solidified. It won't change. Where we are in March will set the scene for the rest of the spring, because the bull will ensure that, unless we really rouse him. And no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to stop him if he's going, and you don't want to get him going if he's stopped. Go with the bull, okay? And that leads us to Gemini, where things become a lot easier, okay? Where there's a lot more agreements between people. You know, your kind, my kind, whatever kind they are, kind of get together, yeah? And communicate in a way that we haven't done perhaps this year. That bodes very well, doesn't it? And those little stingy creatures, they're only there to remind us that, you know, if we sting, there's always a little problem for us afterwards, because it rips us apart. So it's best not to sting. It's best to be pals. Gemini likes mates and matiness. So I think come that Gemini, that June period, we will be in a very different place than we are now, a much more enjoyable place. And these two little mice really remind me of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. I think we'll all be kind of celebrating and tap dancing come June. And look at this. When we get to July, late June, July, we can go to the seaside. We can become dreamers and children and wander in rock pools and imagine things, dream of things, yeah? And just flow with the tide and enjoy it. It's wonderful, beautiful summer, lovely, lovely summer. And then we come to Leo. Okay, so the circus has come to town. Now, I think we've had enough circuses this year. So, these two Mises are trying to train a kitten. We've all heard that phrase, herding cats. You can't do it. It's not done. You can't herd a cat. You can't train a cat. So I think come Leo, we will have earned a lot more freedom, and those that would try and make us comply will not succeed. And this brings us to Virgo, okay? And I see this very much as doing things our way. And I think we will be, again, very happy come the Virgo time of year when it's harvest time. There will be a sort of more inward breath rather than the outward breaths of summer, where we'll all fall back on ourselves a little bit and take care of our diets and our health, because these things are important to Virgo. And we will start preparing for the winter come Virgo. We will clean up our act. We will make sure that we have a better winter. Because in Libra, as we see, we have balance. Things are fair, things are equal. This little angel fairy is there to balance up the different realms so that we become bigger than just identifying as human, where we reach out to the animal kingdom and the spiritual realms, where the fairies dwell, where the angels dwell, and we become a lot more harmonized within ourselves, and this makes us much more harmonious with other people. And we don't just take for ourselves, we make sure it's fair for everyone. So this autumn there will be discussions and debates, and they will be around fairness, and fairness will be the order of the day for many beings. Then we come to the darker nights of Scorpio. Scorpio is an intense sign. It is here that the seeds are quietly planted in the earth that bring about the spring come next March. So this is important, that we plant the seeds that we want to grow for the year ahead. And people are going to be much more aware of that cycle. It's a quiet cycle, it goes on hidden behind the scenes, and yet people are much more aware. What we plant grows, so they'll be much more aware of what they're putting down. Okay, so it's a time of letting go of what's been before, so that new things can spring up come the spring. And then we have Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the time of travel. It's the sign of the hunter, the seeker after philosophies of beliefs. Could be that we see travel restrictions lifted. Yeah? Come November, it would be lovely to think that we will have more freedom next winter. And certainly that little kitten looks like a school child, and so I see that more of us are going to be learning and growing, not closing off and demanding life be the way that it was, but being enthralled with the adventure of the new. And I see that for November next year, when we can expand our horizons. And that brings us back to Capricorn and midwinter next year, when now I've been round the circle, I see more that nanny goat is not state-owned. It's a nanny goat that gives freely to everyone, particularly the young, particularly the curious, the young at heart, and the magpies are there to sing out that message of the black and the white will always be with us. We have to be intelligent about how we handle differences. Okay, so there you have it. A tarot reader's spin of the wheel for Twelfth Night. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good new year.